Okay, so this is the review for the quiz. All right, find the first 5 terms of the recursive sequence. Remember, you don't have to set it up like this, but you need to make sure that you're showing me work. All right, I always did my recursive sequences in pink, so that means I take the first term, and that goes right there. Let me make that a little bit bigger. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that first term, and that goes in, because this means -2 times the previous guy gives me the next guy, okay? So I'm going to be going -2 times 3 plus 1. So there's my previous guy. -2 times 3, -6 plus 1, -5. Now I'm going to take the -5, and that's my new previous term to get the next term. And negative times negative is positive, 11. So I'll show that that's there. Okay. Same thing, continue the pattern. -21. Oops. And then -2 times -21 plus 1. So 42 plus 1 is 43. On your quiz, there'll be an answer column that will tell you, make sure you list the terms. Now, remember I told you that I would give you bonus if you could write an explicit equation that would match that. The problem, though, is this is so complex that I don't think that's very easy to do. All right, write the first 5 terms of the sequence. It's an explicit sequence, so you just plug in the n. So same game. 1, 2, 3, 5. So I'm going to go 4/9 times 1 minus 2 is 9/4. Now I'm going to tell you right now, I need you to show me some work that isn't just like, hey, I know how to plug it into my calculator, because that's pretty lame. And so 4/9 is the same thing as 4/9 to the -1. And when you have it to the -1, you flip it. So 9/4 to the first power. Show me some work, which is 9/4. So you got to show me something that shows me that you're not using a calculator. 4/9, 2 minus 2 is anything to the 0, which is 1. 4/9, 3 minus 2, well, that's 4/9 to the first, which is 4/9. Now, some of you go, oh, okay, I know the pattern. The pattern is times 4/9. So if you show me that that's the pattern, I'm okay with you just writing it down. 4 minus 2. So 4/9 times 4/9 is 1681. Or if you didn't do that, you're going to go 4/9 squared, which is 4 squared. Let me make that a little bit bigger. I know I'm going kind of small here. And I'm going to go times 4/9 again. You'll have more space on your test. 16 times 4 is 64. 81 times 9 is 729. So now I'm going to list these terms up here. 9/4, 1, 4/9, 16/81, and 64 over 729. Okay? All right. Let's see, the next one, they want you to find the 11th term in the arithmetic sequence. So if it's arithmetic, the first thing I'm going to do is write down the formula. A sub n equals a1 plus n minus 1 times d. It spells and. It's easier for me to remember. Okay, they want the 11th term in the sequence. The problem is that they didn't give me the first term. So I'm going to fake it. I'm going to pretend this is the first term. Then that means if I'm pretending this is the first term, this will be the 15th term, and that's the 10th term. Okay, so I'm going to use that information to help me. So now my a sub 1 is 13. And I don't know my pattern. If I knew my pattern, this wouldn't be that hard. Okay, n minus 1, I'm going to use that 15th term. And what is that 15th term? 163. Okay, so to just kind of show you, I faked my a sub 1. So I made that my a sub 1. And then I put my n in there. And what is my n? 163. And then I'm going to solve it. So I'm going to subtract 13. And I'm going to go 15 minus 1, all in 1. 150 equals 14d. Divide by 14. I don't know what that is. Okay. So I'm going to get a fraction, so I'm just going to leave it. Since it is a fraction, I'm going to make that 75 over 7. You can't estimate the decimal. You got to leave it a perfect fraction. Otherwise, you're not going to get the perfect answer. So these were both even, so I divided by 2. Let me just make sure I did that right. Okay, we're good. And then now what I have to do is actually find my 10th term, which is really my 11th term. Okay, and again, you'll have more space on the test. So I'm going to go a sub 10 equals my fake first term, which is 13, plus I'm trying to find my 10th term, and then my pattern is 75 over 4. This one's a little bit ridiculous. I probably should change the numbers. Then I get a sub 10 equals 13 plus, this is 9. Oh man, all right. It's not going to be like this on the test. It's going to be an obvious thing. And if it ends up being a fraction, it'll be a fraction that kind of makes some sense. So I was debating whether or not I pause this to see if I should redo it, but you know what? I'll just keep it. So I'm going to go 9 times 75, 675. Oopsies, that's over 7. Okay, over 7. And then I can do a common denominator and figure out my answer, which is, so I'll put this over 1. It's not going to be this crazy. Then times 7 times 7. So 13 times 7. Oops, 13 times 7 is 91 plus 675. Okay. And let's make sure I did that right. And then 766 over 7. But here's the issue, a sub 11. So what I need you to remember is that I actually wanted the 11th term. So you need to make sure you put a sub 11. It's not going to be this crazy on your quiz. Okay? So let's go on to the next one. The next one, determine whether it could be arithmetic, geometric, or neither. Let's see. So I noticed that the top is staying the same, but then it goes negative, positive, negative. So I know there's got to be a negative in there because it keeps changing signs. And then I notice the bottom is being divided by 2. Okay? So I can't go 1 divided by 2. But if I'm dividing by 2, what's the same thing that you're really doing? You're multiplying by 2. If you don't believe me, negative 5/12 times negative 2 over 1. That would turn into a 6. A negative and a negative make a positive. So because it's being multiplied, it's geometric. So geometric. And then find the next term. So now I'm going to multiply 5/3 negative times negative 2 over 1. Multiply across 10/3. So a sub 4 equals 10/3. This is what I want. That's what I want. There we good to go. Make sure you're telling me what that is the 4th term. Okay. All right, let's look at the next one. Find the pattern in the next number. So let's see, that's plus 2, plus 4, plus 6, plus 8. Ooh, okay. So that means the next one's going to be plus 10, and that's 33. I will give you bonus if you can find the actual explicit sequence. So remember when I said if you go 2 levels and now it's constant, that means it's an x squared, but we use n squared. Okay? So now what I do is I go, okay, well, if this is my first term, let me figure out what my 0 term would be. So if this was plus 2, this would be plus 0, which that one seems, so this one seems pretty complex. So it looks like it'd be times 3. Let's see if that works. That does not work, so that one's kind of a complex one. So this one's a little bit of a workout, because this would be plus 8, plus 6, plus 4, plus 2, plus 0, and that would mean the 0 term is 3. And that wouldn't make sense for what we're doing. Oh, I guess I can go like that. I'm going to have to work on this. Let me pause it for a second. So I started playing around with this one a little bit, and it started being really complex. So honestly, if you give me this much, I'll give you a bonus point if it's applicable, okay? But really all I need to know is that that's 33. All right, let's see, find the missing terms of the arithmetic sequence. So this is a sub 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a sub 6, okay? So I'm going to use my formula for the arithmetic sequence. And I'm going to figure out what my pattern is. Once I know what my pattern is, then I can get the rest of the numbers. Remember, When we did this previous problem up here, the issue was the pattern. When you have the pattern, life is a lot easier. Okay, so I'm going to plug this in. So my a sub 6 is 39 equals my first term plus I'm using my sixth term, and I'm trying to figure out my pattern. To bring it back to what we did in this previous one over here, to show you the similarities, we took the a sub 1, and it went right there, just like we have there. And then we took the sixth term, which we wrote right here and right there, which also matches that. Okay? All right, now I'm just going to solve it. So I'm going to add 46. 85 equals 5d, divide by 5. D equals 17. So now I know the pattern. I'm going to show my work. Plus 17 plus 17. So now I'm just going to do it in my calculator. Negative 46 plus 17, negative 29, comma, plus 17, negative 12, plus 17, 5. And then now, how do I know I'm right? Oh, plus 17, and I'm not right. Oh, because there's 4 terms. Okay, so 22, now plus 17, boom, that gives me the 39, so I'm good to go. So always check and see that the next number ends up working out. All right, find the 43rd term of the arithmetic sequence. So a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. I remember this formula because I have now written it 3 times. So here's my a sub 1. And actually this time I know the pattern because I can see it. So the pattern is minus 9 minus 9. So I'm trying to find my 43rd term. I know my first term, which we did it in pink. I'll do that in pink. So 8 plus, what am I trying to find? I'm trying to find my 43rd term. So I'm going 43 minus 1. And then I actually know my pattern. My pattern is minus 9 minus 9. So I'm going to multiply by negative 9. Okay. So a sub 43 equals 8 plus. So I'm going to go 42 times negative 9. And I get negative 378. So my answer is, my 43rd term is negative 370. Okay. Next one, find the 8th term of the geometric sequence. I'm not going to have you go on and on. I'm not going to have you figure out the pattern and then multiply till you get the 8th. I need you to use the formula for the geometric sequence. Okay. All right. My a sub 1, same game, right here. So negative 1/3. My ratio is the pattern. The pattern is times 1/3. So times 1/3, and I want the 8th number. So now I'm just going to simply plug that into my calculator, and I get a sub 8 equals negative 1 over 6,561. Just use your calculator. Okay. Next problem, find the 7th term of the geometric sequence. A sub n equals a sub 1, r to the n minus 1. I gave you the first term, I gave you the ratio, and I did that. Now just, minus 1, just plug it into your calculator. And it's a big number, which makes sense because your ratio is big. Okay. All right, find the missing terms of the geometric sequence. A sub 1, 2, 3, a sub 4. A sub n equals a sub 1, r to the n minus 1. I want the 4th term. Now remember, the issue is I'm trying to find the pattern again. I don't know the pattern. If I knew the pattern, my life would be easier. Okay, so just before we did the pink was a sub 1. There's my a sub 1. I used my 4th term, just like I did before, to plug that in. So now I have negative 27 over 4 equals 2r cubed. I'm dividing by 2. When I divide by 2, I'm really multiplying by the reciprocal. If you give me, if you give me a decimal, then I know that you used your calculator. So it's the same thing as times 1/2. So now we're left with negative 27 over 8 equals r cubed, and I'm going to cube root. Now I'm trying to figure out what times what. Times what is 27, and that's negative 3. What times what times what is 8, and that's 2. There is my ratio. There is my pattern. Now I can now multiply this times negative 3/2. My first number is negative 3. I multiply that times negative 3/2. which is 9 halves. And now I multiply that by negative 3 halves, negative 27 over 4.